Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Getting Inside the Right Male Mind, where I explore the minds of men who I think are authentic and kind and really good guys that are struggling just as much with finding love as we are. So I love getting their perspective and hearing what's going on with them. As luck would have it, or I don't know quite how to describe it, but we were supposed to have a special guest today on the broadcast. And I think that my podcast coordinator scheduled him for a separate day, a separate interview. And so he will not be on the show today. And I had given my husband, Benjamin, the morning off. So I think it's just you and me. We will do this broadcast hopefully next Sunday. And today, let's see here. I think he's trying to get on. So I don't know what's going on. Let's see if William can get on. Let me see what's happening here. He's not able to get on right now. So maybe she did schedule it correctly. I am going to see if I can. I'm not quite sure why he's not able to enter the studio. Maybe it's because I'm already on. I'm not quite sure. I actually see him here trying to get onto the broadcast. There he is. All right. William, hi. I thought I was going to have to go it alone.
No, I was having trouble getting. I never used StreamYard, so.
Uh-huh.
But no, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, I'm so glad. I was worried, and I also thought maybe Sarah, my podcast coordinator, had gotten our things mixed up. We have so much going on right now that I think last week I must have done 3 podcasts and like 4 Facebook Lives.
Oh, wow. So you were busy last week.
Yes, exactly. And somebody had asked where Benjamin is this morning. I gave Benjamin the morning off, and I thought that it might be wonderful to hear from somebody else. I had a wonderful podcast interview with William. I was on his podcast, People on Dating, and I was so impressed with him that I asked him to come on my show. So, William, thank you so much for being here.
No, it's my pleasure. I had a great time talking to you. We got into such great topics that we forgot to talk about the main topic, which we'll do sometime this week, which is part 2.
Yeah, great. I think I saw it on my calendar. That's where I got confused. I didn't realize that part 2 was coming up. So, and that had already been scheduled. So I think I got confused and thought maybe she didn't set up today's broadcast. So all good, all good. It is so wonderful to have you here. And tell everyone just a little bit about you. Like, I don't have a bio. I know you're kind of yeah.
That's my fault for not sending you one. So I apologize for that.
That's okay. I love spontaneity. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about you, William?
Okay. So I have a part-time job. I work for Aramark. It's a food and beverage service company. And then on the other side of that coin, I do real estate investing on the side. So that's what I do professionally and personally. More personal. I'm a single man, dating a couple of women now. I went through trials and tribulations personally, trying to grow up as a more mature man in my 30s and 40s. We'll definitely get more into that whatever you want to ask me, but it all was a learning process for me. you know, I didn't have that abundance mentality when I was younger, and even up to my late 40s, early 50s. Um, I would gravitate towards a woman, and knowing that she wasn't right for me, I still would stay with her because
Mhm.
I didn't have that abundance. That hey, there was someone else in the, as they say, in the sea. Um, so yeah, so I would, I was simp for her. I was considered a beta male. You know, all these new red pill phrases now. But anyway, fast forward, I realized my value, that I definitely bring things to the table that I didn't think I had before. So fast forward to today, I'm in a much better situation than I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Awesome. So this is exactly what I want to talk about, is sort of the arc of your transformation, William. And one of the things that we work on in my 12-week emotionally naked dating course, we look at attachment styles. So I'm sure you know this, that there are primarily three: anxious, avoidant, and secure. There's also a fearful avoidant, which is a combination of anxious and avoidant. And we talk about these different attachment styles. And most people do fall into one of those categories. We're either secure, we grew up having loving parents who reinforced our need for love and security, made us feel safe. And those people are often very comfortable or more comfortable with intimacy, opening up and closeness and all. And then you have people who didn't get the kind of love and consistent support from parents that they needed, and may have developed an anxious or an avoidant attachment style. Either they get very, very anxious, they get a lot of anxiety when they start to like somebody or feel an attraction, and or they push people away when they feel attracted to them. So what happens is some women who know these categories want to just very quickly put someone into a category. They want to say, well, if this man is 60 years old and he's never been married and he hasn't committed to a woman, he must be avoidant, right? He must have intimacy issues because of that. And so many women will quickly label you as avoidant and not want to date you because, they'll go on a date, they'll ask you about your relationship history, and then, they'll disqualify you. And that was why I wanted to have you on the program. So before we get into where you are now, I know you're a bit of an open book, and I love that about you. I think you just have such a great heart. And I would love for you to talk about what it was like for you when you were a young man. Let's go all the way back to high school.
Okay.
If you can remember that
I don't know if I
far.
can remember that far back. I can't even remember a week ago, but what you said before about avoidance and all that, because I never got that from my parents. I grew up with my grandparents, so let's
Mhm.
put that, and they weren't exactly loving. Same thing with my mother and father. Whenever I was around them, same thing. Uh, you know, I don't even think I ever heard the word. So when you grow up that way, I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about anybody else. I definitely avoided some relationships because I didn't know how to act.
Mhm.
Um, so and I was a lot in my 20s, but I also too, Lisa, that I knew by the time I was in my mid to late 20s, I didn't want to have any kids. So
Mhm.
whenever I got in a relationship and anytime family or anything was brought up
Mhm.
and they asked, oh, do you want kids? And I would say no. But I was comfortable with that decision. Now, fast forward a few years later, in my 40s, I started seeking help. I went to a therapist and all that. I started reading more books on relationships. One of the books, Men are from Mars, Women from Venus. I started reading that book. Another book, it was called Get Inside Her by Marnie Kinrys. about the psychology of a woman and all that. So I started reading these
I
books.
know Marnie. She
Oh,
used to
okay.
live down the street from me in Los Angeles.
Oh, geez, that's a woman I would love to have on my show. But anyway,
Mhm.
so I avoided relationships, and it was. I remember in my late 20s, early 30s, there was a woman that I should have married. Years later, I realized that. I'm like, excuse my language, shit, I should have married her. She was a good woman. She really cared about me, but I was not ready, and to be honest with you, I was a little scared. Um, and I remember we saw each other about a year or two later, and we talked and everything. But and I apologized to her, but I would definitely apologize even more by saying, "Hey, listen, 30 years ago, I should have married you. You were marriage material, and I lost." So once I sought therapy, reading books, and then working on myself, and now mind you, some people do that in their 20s. I did that in my mid 40s. So I met this woman, and she forced herself onto me. In other words, she would not give up on me. She saw something that I had, and at the time I was 48, she was 44. And mind you, Lisa, I didn't want kids, but with her, I made the exception. I said, okay. So we tried to have kids, but because I guess the age that she was and I was, whatever, we couldn't have kids. So that kind of drove us apart a lot. And we talked marriage again. Uh, this time I talked about it. Where when I was 30, I didn't even talk about it until years later. And once we talked about it, we were thinking about how we're going to do this and all that. And this is like at the time we were trying to have kids. Anyway, when we couldn't have kids, she wasn't getting pregnant, and then our relationship just went down the hill. She blamed me. We started like fighting more. And I'm not talking about physically, I'm just talking about just verbally, where she would just put the blame on me, and I try to do things to make her feel better. It just didn't work out. So we broke up. So after that, once I hit late 40s, early 50s, I just started dating and all that. And I felt more comfortable dating until my last relationship was before I'm dating now. I was 57, 56, something like that. So you talk about 4 or 5 years ago. And because I was single for a year or two, I latched onto this woman that was wrong for me.
Mhm.
Now, one of the things, Lisa, is, and I think you know this definitely. Some people tell about themselves early on. They revealed their red flags.
Right.
This woman revealed her red flags that, I mean, it was bigger than this wall, and I still wanted to date her. In other words, I heard what she said, but I didn't listen. And it was a huge red flag. And, I was taken for money. There was no love from her, but I still stood there because I was hoping that she would change her mind and maybe love me like I really cared about her. I
So,
could see.
William, let me pause you. Did that get you into therapy? Is that what got you?
No, that one, when I broke up when I left that other girl about 4 or 5 years ago, the one that got me into therapy was in my mid 40s when I realized that nothing
Got
was
it.
happening. So once I saw this again, I left a little too late in the relationship, but at least I was better off because one, and I want to say this to a lot of guys, you got to have your boundaries and you got to have your values. I let that go for her, and I was stepped over. It wasn't, and you know what, Lisa, I'm okay if a woman doesn't like me. That's fine. I don't need closure. I can let that go. But when it comes to financial aspects of it, where we had a business together and she didn't put up her part, then that's what really got me angry. The love, I'm telling you, Lisa, I swear on a stack of Bibles. If a woman doesn't like me, I'm okay. I can move on. I don't need any closure. You already spoke to me by not liking me anymore. Okay, cool. But when it came to the financial aspects of our business, then you hurt me because it's financial now. So when that happened,
William, can you pause? Can you explain that a little bit more? Why is it that the financial piece hurts so badly?
because like I said, we had a Airbnb business together.
Uh huh.
right? And we should have split everything down the middle. You know,
Hmm.
she was taking 50% of the profits, but no accountability on the bills. So because my name was on, on all the contracts, and that was one mistake I made. Everything fell on me.
Hmm.
So, I had to, use all types of resources to make sure that the bills get paid. And I even asked her, "Hey, I need help," and she would just come up with lame ass excuses of why she couldn't help me. So I just realized, okay,
I
yeah,
want to
good.
know, I want to go a little deeper. As a man, speaking as a man to women, what hurt, what was it that was so upsetting or hurtful about that? Like you said, did it feel disrespectful? Did it feel like she took advantage of you?
Oh
Like she
yeah, I
didn't
felt she.
respect you?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely the top two. No respect and lack of empathy. I mean, I could probably go on. And mind you, Lisa, and for the audience, if I was to see her again, I would be courteous and say hello. How are you? How's your mother? No, and no hard feelings, because you know what? That was on me. I can't blame her for something that I contributed to. In other words, um, if she said something about money, I would say yes, because again, I wanted to make her happy. But even
So,
though, yeah, go ahead.
William, the reason I'm really sticking on this is because one of the things that we talk about with our women is that it is more important for a man to feel respected than loved.
Yeah, and I
And
wasn't respected. Definitely
you
not.
weren't respected. It was the disrespect that
Right,
hurt most because you were trying so hard to make her happy.
right,
And it
and
was the disrespect.
absolutely. It was more that than anything,
Mhm.
because again, and I keep on going back to it. If a woman doesn't like a man, I think men just move on. There's other
Yeah.
fish in the sea, and I knew that then, but because I had financial gain and losses, I held on a little longer than I should have.
Mhm.
I just realized, I'm just going to cut my losses here. The lease was up on one of the properties that we had, and so I wasn't going to renew. Our final contact were always through text, and that's how I wanted it anyway. I really didn't want to see her in person until, like I said, if I was to see her again, because we do run in the same circles in real estate. I would be courteous. I have no ill will, because you know what, Lisa? At the end of the day, it was me that didn't set the boundaries, didn't set my values. So when that gets crossed a couple of times, that then the woman's going to say, "Oh, well, this guy doesn't have any boundaries or any values or any standards. I'm going to just keep on crossing them." So that's up to the man to set the boundaries and say, "No, we're not doing this. Either you like it, or you don't. If not, then either you move on or I move on." I didn't do that, Lisa. So I just want your audience to know, and especially the guys, you gotta set boundaries and standards.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's, and I do that now. The two women that I'm dating, I told them straight up that I'm dating. I didn't tell them who I'm dating, but I told them that. I said, "This is what I'm doing now. I'm looking to settle, find someone, whether I get married or not, but I'm looking to get serious with someone, and that's it. So I'm dating until I find someone. That's it."
So,
I told them straight out.
let's go back to, one of the things I really want to explore with you a little bit is growing up and feeling insecure as a man with women, watching other guys who just seem to have all this charisma and could attract anybody, and what that felt like for you when you were younger, because I don't think from everything you've told me that you are a classic avoidant. I think, what you had said to me when we were on your podcast is that you were really lacking confidence with women.
Oh yeah, but especially in my 20s, and especially in my 20s, I didn't yeah, I didn't have confidence. I was very shy. At times my personality came out, but that was, you could kind of have one hand how many times that came out. It wasn't until my late 20s, early 30s that I just started feeling like, you know what, I don't give a shit what anybody says. This is who I am. And slowly but surely, even like some of my friends would notice my personality, like, wow, you're not the same that you were, 5, 8, 9. You're different now, because I didn't give a damn about anything anymore. So
Let's,
when, yeah,
William,
go
let's
ahead.
go back to when you felt insecure. What was that like for you to look at other men and just see them like they had no trouble with women? They got all this attention.
Jealousy. I would envy some of the guys. I would, get mad. I'm like, how did that guy get her? I mean, that guy, I think I'm better looking than that guy. But I knew, when some of the guys I talked to during that time in my 20s, they showed confidence. They didn't give a damn if a woman turned them down, because they knew there were other fish in the sea, as the saying was back in those days. But I didn't feel that way. I felt, if I grabbed onto somebody, let me stay with this person, even though if I wasn't happy, let me stay. Again, it was definitely lack of confidence. I didn't, as the new term now is game. How to talk to a woman, how to make her laugh, how to make her feel comfortable. I didn't have that. Again, that developed later in my 30s. Even when like I said, that woman I should have married when I was 29, 30, 31, it still didn't. My personality was coming out. But it wasn't until later in my mid 30s where I felt more and more comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with myself. Even though I sought therapy later on, but I started feeling more comfortable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's agonizing when you're
It,
watching
oh,
other
it was
guys.
definitely it was definitely agonizing, because I remember when we would go to parties, I would pretty much stay, with the guys, and instead of talking about, hey, you see that cute girl over there, I would bring up sports as a way to alleviate that pressure of putting myself that, oh my God, I want to talk to that girl. I wouldn't even know what to say anyway. Back in
Right.
those days, I needed to be introduced to a woman, and then I could start talking. Again, it wasn't until my 30s, late 30s, 40s, where I just would go up to someone or just introduce myself. Hey, hi, my name is William. Blah blah blah, whatever. I also forced myself, Lisa, to attend networking events, and this was in my
Mm-hmm.
late 30s, early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Once I knew that I was going to get into real estate, and I started finding out about these uh, uh, real estate clubs and all that, I forced myself to go, and I went by myself. I didn't bring anybody with me. I would
Mm-hmm.
go to singles events, didn't bring anybody with me. I would do speed dating, didn't bring anybody with me. So you have to force yourself to go out there and just talk. Um, and at singles events, I started feeling, and I'm doing this in my 40s, late 40s, early 50s, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm starting to feel comfortable doing this. And I would go to over 40. Now it's over 50. They keep on pushing back the age, which is great. Um,
Yeah.
but it was all a mindset. Again, the
Yeah.
therapy helped in between my first noticing how I was and till today. So in between, when I did the therapy for a couple of years, again, and reading, there's tons of books out there, guys, for us that are shy, don't know how to talk to women, and there's women like Lisa and Marnie that help guys like us, get out of that shyness, get out of that rust of not talking to someone. There's plenty of opportunity there to grow. It's a much better age now to meet someone, because of obviously the internet and all that, but also because there's so much information that you could use to get better as a man.
Yeah. So back to when you were shy, you forced yourself to go to networking events. You
Yeah,
forced yourself to go to speed dating, to singles events. William, I did all the same things.
yeah,
I did. Most people roll their eyes when you say, get out there, meet people, walk through your fears, face your fears. They're scared to death to do that. And
you're
for
not going to
me,
be great at your first event.
yeah,
Sorry, Lisa, I didn't mean to
no,
cut
go
you off.
ahead, cut me off.
You're not gonna be great on your first event or the second event or third. It takes a while. When I went to my first speed dating, I already kind of knew what I wanted to, because I had seen it online, I seen it in movies. But it's just being yourself. If the other person doesn't like who you are, then you move on. It's not that hard, guys. It's really not, because if I could do it, and I was very shy, I didn't have confidence in myself when I was much younger. I would avoid at times parties unless I went with a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I forced myself to go into these networking events because I knew that I wanted to get into real estate. I wanted to be an investor. I wanted to meet people. Even now at 60, I reach out to realtors and things and I have conversations. I make cold calls. Again, this is stuff that I wouldn't have done 20 years ago. But because I forced myself to do it and realized that I gotta get out of this rut of not of being too shy, of being what's the word I'm looking for? Bad mouthing myself, if that makes sense, where, oh no, you can't get her, whatever. No, bullshit. Go. If I could do it, you could do it. It's one step at a time. It's the same thing when I started in real estate investing. I had to read tons of books. I had to go to tons of classes. I bought real estate courses. And it all comes down to networking and meeting the right people. I've been lucky so far. I met a couple of guys that are, we have the same goals in mind, And the same thing with a woman. When you meet a woman, you gotta have the same goals in mind. Now, the women that I date, one is gonna be 51, and one is just turned 49, and I'm 60. And I even asked them, Lisa, are you okay with the age gap? And both of them told me they don't care. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Because I don't think I would go any younger than 45, 46, 47. Me personally, I couldn't date anyone in their 20s and 30s. That's just me. I like someone that's much older, and that we have things in common, especially in our age range between 45 to 60, 50 to 60. And I'm happier now. Again, it was a process. Some guys get it done at 20. For me, it was in my late 50s.
So, William, some of my clients would say, well, 10 years older, that's not dating someone your age. Would you date someone who's 60? Would you date?
Yeah, of course. I mean, listen, women have standards too, right? They want a guy that's in decent shape and all that. I try to work out a couple of times a week, and I will ask the same. That she's in shape, and that's it. I don't care if she's 55, 60. When I was when was it? I was 57, the girl was 52. So we were a few years apart. So it's a matter of how you feel. And don't let the age gap, bother you, because to me that's I mean, if it's you're 60 and you're 30, then that's a different story. Then, I wouldn't do that. That's just me. I do have an ego of those things. Like there's a woman that I know personally. She's in her 20s, and we get along so well. We make each other laugh. But I don't even look at her as someone I would date. I look at her as a little sister. I won't say daughter. I can't say that yet, Lisa. I just say like a little sister that I will watch over her, And I give her advice on dating and all that. But
yeah, William, my husband is 10 years or 9 years older than me.
Okay.
But I have a very hard time getting my clients to put the age range up 10 years. I really do. They have a very difficult time going on dates with men who are 10 years older. And I think it's a mistake for me personally. When I was looking out at, I'm just very rational. So I'm looking at the competition, right? And I thought, wow, if I go up 10 years, I'm going to be a prize to some of those guys. If I'm competing, if I'm only competing with women my age for guys my age, it's a little bit different. But to a guy, 9, 10 years older, 8, 9, 10 years older, I was going to have a much better chance. And I actually did date many high caliber men, great guys who were 8, 9, 10 years older. And they had a level of maturity that I was missing in some of the younger guys. And I also felt a little bit more of a sexual kind of attraction, because a man who was a little older felt more mature. I felt like some of the younger guys, even if they were my age, were more like brothers than than potential partners. But that's just me. I do urge women to skew a little higher, to go 5 years younger and 10 years older. So
and I think that's a great idea, for the women that you work with. And like I said, for me, I remember I had a friend of mine that I used to work with, and she says at the time I was in my early 50s, maybe mid 50s. He said, "Oh, you could date someone 40." I'm like, "Wow, that's a 15-year gap." I don't know if she was saying her because she was like 12 to 15 years younger. So I don't know if she was throwing herself in the ring. I found out later on that she did, and it went right over my head because she told me the type of guy she likes. So I eliminated myself. I said, "Oh, well, she doesn't like me." And then I found out a couple of years later, she told a good friend of ours that I never made a move on her. And I told my friend, she never told me that I was her type. So why would I make a move? And she told me that her type was this, this, and that. So, and she was, like I said, 10 to 12 years younger, maybe 15. I don't know the age range. But like I said, one is 50, 51. The other one's 49. I'm happy. And you know what? They told me that they like older guys.
mhm.
I try again. Once I turned my mid 40s, late 40s, early 50s, I knew I was a mature man. I already knew it. I already knew what I wanted to do and all that. When I was in my 30s, I wanted to hang out. I still wanted to go clubbing. I still wanted to play sports and all that. For some guys, they get it like that. For me, it happened much later.
Mhm.
And I can't, it is what it is.
And William, let me ask you, would you get married at this?
Yeah,
At this
no, definitely,
point?
definitely. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Lisa. I don't know if I would want to have kids. And it's funny, I just saw in the news yesterday, I think a senator uh, had a baby through a surrogate, and he's 71 and the baby's 4 months old. I don't think I would do that. The two girls that I'm going to, one doesn't have kids and she's 49, and the other one's 50, 51, and she has a daughter. So I know she doesn't want any more kids, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, not everybody is made to be a parent. I hang out with a bunch of friends here in New York City. Most of them don't have kids,
And
and we don't even think about it.
can I ask you, what about these two women?
Yeah,
Do they have kids?
no, one does. The one that's 50, 51, I always forget her age. I know she's past 50. And the one that just turned 49, she doesn't have kids.
And and both of them are fine with that. Was that a choice? So, and is the 50-year-old, are her kids grown?
Yeah.
Or
I think one kid is late 20s, early
Mhm,
30s, I think. I
mhm.
think she has one, a daughter. I think it's a daughter. The other one didn't have kids.
And are you open? So you're fine if somebody has grown kids. You
Yeah, it doesn't
just
bother
don't
me.
want to raise little kids.
Right.
You don't want to raise children.
No, not now. No, I want to be able to, and this is a cliche, to travel and all that. Like next year, I have plans with four of my friends to go to Barcelona, Spain, to go. There's an area in Barcelona that they do roller skating, and here in New York, roller skating is huge. So we're looking to go to Spain next year. So yeah, if one of those girls that I tend to gravitate more and I'm with, I would take her with me. I said, hey, come to Spain with me. You don't have to skate, but you can at least hang out and enjoy the scenery. Go
Mhm,
shopping, whatever you want to do. But
mhm.
but that's the goal for next year. And if one of the girls are involved, I would definitely welcome it.
William, some women listening would think, well, I wouldn't date him because he's dating two women at once. And I would feel threatened by that. I would want a guy who, if he wanted a relationship and he was serious about having one, would focus on me and give us a chance. And how can he give a chance to this relationship if his attention is divided between two women, especially if he's sexually intimate with both of them?
Well, the thing is, Lisa, it's just like any other, like you go to, I hate to put it in again, a cliche, but it's like a job interview. You go to job to job to job, they interview you and they say, hey, this is a good candidate. It's the same thing with dating. Listen, a lot of women have multiple guys that they talk to and they go out with. So it's no different when I'm doing that, what they're doing. And it's just an elimination process. Sure, like I have one that I'm leaning towards more than the other? Yes. I'm not going to say here on air, but yes, I am leaning towards one over the other. But of course, it's just like a woman, they're going to keep their options open. A man's going to keep their options open. Sure, I would like to settle. Sure, I like to have someone here in this apartment hanging out with me on a weekend, or we go away for the weekend. Yeah, I never been one of those guys that has 8, 9 women. That's not me. But now that I'm 60, I'm looking to find someone that I could be with, that I could hang out with, that I could settle down with. Whether marriage is in the air or not, I definitely want that one.
So let me ask
one more thing, Lisa. I'm sorry. Dating's
Yeah.
expensive. You're taking out 2 people. It's expensive. Most of the 95% of the time I'm paying, so it's expensive. Cause I don't take them to cheap restaurants. We don't go to McDonald's, or maybe on occasion we might have pizza, but it's going to be a good pizza.
So let me ask you: do both of these women know about each other?
No. I just
They
told them that
don't.
I'm dating. I just said that I'm dating.
So you've let them know that you're dating,
Yes.
and what about, and I know this is probably personal, what about the intimacy piece? I mean, there is certainly going to be, how long have you been dating both of them?
One, I remember, one about 6 months, the one that's 51,
Mm-hmm.
and the one that's 49, maybe 2 months, 3 months,
I
give or
see.
take.
Right. So that can get complicated.
It does. But because, like I said, the goal is to definitely settle. I definitely want the one.
You
And
mean
like I said,
settle down, not settle for a
right?
woman
No,
to
no, no.
settle
That's
down.
no.
I
But
just want to clarify.
I don't think no one should just settle.
Yeah.
That's you hear that in the red pill. Oh, you should. Nah, you know what? If you find someone that you like, then maybe. But don't settle, because you're gonna look at that person. You're gonna like say, "Oh shit, I can't believe I'm here." No, I wouldn't want that for myself, and I wouldn't want to put it that to a woman. So, like I said, I am definitely leaning towards one over the other.
Mm-hmm. You
So,
are.
if that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. I just find it interesting. And we tell our women, by the way, to date 3 men at once. We
Oh, that's
actually
okay, but I
say,
can't do it.
no, I'm just speaking for the women who might be listening, and many of the women listening are not my
No,
clients.
they
And
should.
so
They should. Yeah, they
I think
should.
it's very important, but they do not get sexually intimate with anyone
Mhm.
until they know that there is exclusivity. And
Right.
so that's the difference. There's no sexual intimacy unless they've had a conversation with a man about monogamy and about where the relationship is going. So that's a little bit of a difference with the women that I coach, because it's very challenging for a lot of women. It's different, William, for women than it is for men. We
No,
get
right, I agree.
very emotionally attached when we're sexual with men. And so it's important for us to protect our own feelings. I once had a client she had a conversation with a guy, they slept together, and then after that, they had a conversation about exclusivity, and he told her he wasn't ready for that, and she continued to see him. One day, she went over to his apartment, and there were 4 wine glasses, and 2 of them had lipstick on them, and she was really upset. She realized, that she couldn't say anything, because the guy was a jerk. He should have washed the wine glasses and cleaned up a
Yeah,
little
definitely put
bit.
them away. Yeah,
But
definitely. But I
you
think that
know,
conversation has to be had or said at the beginning.
mhm,
And
yeah,
I did that. And the key is communication. One thing, and you know this, Lisa. One thing I learned about the podcast, right? There's like 6, 7 items that I learned over the past 90 some episodes I've done. And number one is always communicate, right? One of my friends, who's a good friend of mine, she always wants communication in her relationship. And that's what I did. At the beginning, the one for 6 months, I said, that I'm right now, I'm, looking, I want to settle, blah, blah, blah. Now, of course, there's a 3-month gap, right, if I remember correctly, but I was upfront with her. You got to be upfront. Guys, women, you got to be upfront. If the other person doesn't like it, then that's on them. But you got to be upfront. You got to communicate and say, this is what I'm doing. Are you okay with it? If not, I understand. You don't want to talk to me anymore. You want to leave. I understand. But if you don't communicate and you keep it from them, then there's the issue, arises, and she's gonna slap the shit out of you. She's gonna curse you out. She's gonna badmouth you. All that stuff.
So, William, I'm going to ask you a question here that I think is on a lot of women's minds. When you say communicate, did you just say to her, I'm dating other women, or did you explicitly say, I'm also sexually active with other women?
No, that I wouldn't say to anybody. I don't think it's anyone's business. And I know I'm going to get pushed back, and I understand that. But I'm just saying that I was dating, that I'm dating. It doesn't mean you're going to sleep with every woman. It's not, because some women are making it. Yeah.
Did she ask
none of them
you
asked me.
if you are being sexually intimate? Because I will tell you, right. And I know women, we hear what we want to hear, and we think
guys too. Unfortunately, we do too. So
yeah. So a lot of women hearing, I'm dating other women, still may say to themselves, oh, but he would only, he may be seeing other women, but he's being sexually intimate with me. So dating other women, unless, when I talk with my clients, it is extremely important, if a man is dating other women, that they put up a boundary, that a very explicit boundary. If you are dating other women, I need to know that I am the only woman you are sexually intimate with. So that would be a criteria for any of my clients.
Fair. Yes, that's fair. Again, none of them have asked me that. And I'm like, all right. So to be honest, I'm just sleeping with one. The other one, I'm not.
Okay.
Okay. So then at least it's out there. You forced it out of me.
It's good to know. And if you had been sleeping with both, there's no judgment. It's, I'm putting it out there for women to hear.
And that's fair.
That this is
fair.
Yeah. You're doing what a lot of guys would do, William. They would just say, hey, I'm dating other women. And they would think that the subtext would be, and I'm also could be sleeping with some of them, right?
Yeah, guys too, Lisa, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Right. But we could think the same thing. We're gonna think that if a woman's dating multiple guys, oh yeah, she's definitely sleeping with a couple of them. It's part of nature. We're going to think that as men, yes, we want exclusivity. We're definitely more, I'm not saying women aren't, but most of us are territorial. We want a woman to just be with us only. We don't want that. Oh no, she has a lot of male friends and all that. Yes, that's something that we have to deal with. Do I like it? I'm not a fan of it, but I know she's going to know people before she knows me.
Sure.
So, I don't even think about that. Another thing, a topic that's been going on, and this is more of young people. It's I'm pretty sure you heard this, Lisa, where now a woman's body count is being asked. Excuse my language, I'm effing 60 years old. You think a woman's gonna have a past? She's gonna have many boyfriends. She's gonna have probably a one-night stand. She's gonna have someone in Ibiza that she was there for a week, and she goes, "What the hell?" I know that. Come on, guys got to get over that. And that's one of the things of red pill. When they talk about that,
what the red pill is for everybody that doesn't know.
So the red pill is guys, and I'm talking about guys in their 20s and early 30s. They want a woman They're like, maybe they're 30, 31, 32. They want to date a woman that's 20, 21, 22. Because women at that age, according to these guys, and again, I agree with a lot of it. I don't agree with some of it. They want to date someone younger because they're more controllable. They're more agreeable. They're more likely to be with one man instead of, you know, being around with a couple of other guys, you know, like supposedly the women in their late 20s, early 30s does. Another thing about the red pill is now the thing is more men, they call them passport bros, where they're going overseas to try to find a woman and bring them back to the United States. That's one of the things of the red pill I do not agree with. That is BS, because there are plenty of women here in the USA that you could find that are good women, that are not on Instagram showing their ass and boobs. You know, they're, no matter what age, you could find a woman here. To me, going overseas, that's BS. That's how I feel. I would, if I go overseas, like I'm going to Spain next year, hopefully, I'm going to roller skate and get the experience, and then maybe see part of Spain. I'm not looking to bring someone back with me. I
Wait,
can
let me ask, you're going to Spain to roller skate?
Yeah, there's a thing called skate love. And I saw the videos, and four of my friends decided that we should all go. Hopefully that none of us change our mind, but that's the goal, is to go to Spain next year and to roller skate. It's a 4-day love skating fest, as you know. And I saw videos of it, and it looks so much fun, because I roller skate here in New York City. I skate on the weekends when I get a chance. So so that's the goal for us, is to go skating next year.
Who knew?
I didn't even know. I didn't even know about it until maybe 6-7 months ago.
God.
4 or 5 months ago, a friend of mine told me there's a thing called skate love. I'm like, really? And
you know,
can
I just say something, going back to what you were saying about these women, you know, women who are in their 20s and 30s? Anybody can write any narrative they want. Women in their 20s and 30s are so much more emotional. They're so much more immature. You can write any narrative you want to write around something, but saying that with women, younger women are more controllable, that's where you get batshit crazy from.
Listen, that's what it's talked about in the red pill community. Like I said, there's a lot of things I agree with it. A lot of things I agree is setting boundaries and standards, you know. And I had that crossed on me a couple of times. Even family members had crossed that boundary and values that I had, and I let them. It was, again, you got to have both sexes, men and women, should have boundaries and standards that they shouldn't let anyone cross. Not just me or men, just women too. So that's one of the things of the red pill I definitely agree with. You got to have standards. You got to have boundaries. You can't let certain women just take advantage of you. You know, and it's been done to me. All of us at one time have been simps. That's a new term that I started listening to a couple of years ago. Simps. So that's basically just a man that's that lets women pretty much do whatever they want without checking them, if that makes sense.
So, William, one of the things, if you look online about the red pill community, you know, and you research it, one of the things that they say is that, you know, it's favored by men's rights groups and conspiracy theorists, you know, and that it's really linked to toxic masculinity and anti-feminism.
I see some of that. I definitely see some of that. But I'm not that, like I said, there's some things I'm a believer in, and there's some I'm not. I'm not into, you know, degrading women. I'm not here to put any woman down, you know. That's not me. But in terms of boundaries and standards, you got to have it. And I'm not talking about just men, but women too. You know, women have standards, and men should be allowed to have standards.
Of course.
So that's one of the things in the red pill community I definitely agree with, is the boundaries and standards, having a backbone, saying no to something that you don't agree with, you know. And if she gets upset or she gets mad, or vice versa, you have a standard as a woman. Lisa has a standard, but then, you know, Benjamin crosses it. Lisa's going to say, that's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to have boundaries and standards for everybody. But
Yeah.
again, I think one of your Facebook users, I think her name is Janine. Sorry, Janine, if I pronounce your name wrong. She was saying communication is key, and it was something else that she added. But you communicate that up front.
Yeah.
That's always the key, is to communicate everything up front. This is what I like to do. This is what I don't like to do. You know, on Sunday, I listen. 4 or 5 years ago, I was dating this woman. When I was watching football on Sundays, she would complain, "Oh, my ex used to do that. Watch football, you know." And for a week or two, I stopped, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't do much for the 6 days during the week. I'm working. I'm busting my ass. I want to watch some football. That's it. That was my standard and boundaries. I want to watch the game, even if I have to watch it on a damn phone. I'll watch it. Again, for women, they have standards and boundaries, and don't let a guy cross.
So
Again, a man should have the same.
I'm going to put it out there that there are wonderful books and places for men to go to learn about masculinity. There's one book that I actually like a lot. There's things I disagree with in the book, but it's called The Masculine in Relationship, and a blueprint for inspiring the trust, lust, and devotion of strong women. And this is a great book. I think there's ways he really is redefining masculine, or the masculine. His name is G.S. Youngblood. And I really find that this is a more constructive conversation around boundary setting and redefining, what it means to be masculine today. So I think it's very important where we go to get our information and the conversation that we perpetuate around this, William. I know that there is a lot of toxic masculinity today. There's a lot of angry men that are enraged. I can't remember the name of the man. Maybe he is associated with this red pill community, the one that was banned from a lot of different platforms because he was so toxic. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I think so. I'm trying to remember the name.
Can't remember his name.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I noticed that too with some of the guys in the community. They are angry at women because women have set high standards and all that. People set the high standards. It doesn't mean that you're going to meet them or you're going to get that. At the beginning, I set standards.
Yeah.
I want a woman that was funny. I want a woman that was in shape. It was like 5, 6, 7 things I wanted. Then I realized that I could have that, but if the conversation sucked, shit, now what? So I don't even set those type of standards. I just want to. If I'm dating someone, I want to just have good chemistry. And you could tell right away if the chemistry, you just feel free to talk and joke and not have to worry about every other word you say, because now you're stepping on eggs. Most men want that. They want a woman that they could have chemistry with and just feel like they could be themselves. Most men want to be themselves. They don't want to be something that they're not. Simple as that.
Well,
And we're easy to please. I mean, we don't. I mean, as they say, a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. That's part of it, but also is just hanging out and knowing that sure you're having sex, but that's your friend, that's your buddy. We can hang out and talk anything and watch movies and make comments on the movies, whatever. Just simple stuff. Most men are very simple.
Yeah. But, at the same time, we want to promote positive attitudes toward,
Oh, definitely. I'm more that. I don't like I said, when I see some of the stuff in the red pill where they, bash women and call them stupid and things like that. I'm not a fan of that. I don't want to call anyone stupid. That's bullshit. You shouldn't call anyone like that. If you disagree, you just say, we'll agree to disagree. That's it. You don't need to throw names at women because whatever. And when I see some of these guys, I can say, okay, now I see why they act like that. They were definitely shunned as a young man. You hate to say that, but it's
William. I was shunned as a young woman.
I was too. But I
don't hate men. I actually, I love them, and I found a way to find good men, right? And to connect with good men. So on that note, I so thank you for being here, and I'd love to have you back again and explore more of this. I think
Anytime. I had a
yeah.
great time talking to you. I hope your audience got something out of it. Hopefully I didn't bore them to death, but
I don't think so.
no, I had a great time talking to you.
You
Like I said,
too.
we talked when we did my podcast. I told you I could talk to you for another 1 or 2 hours.
I know. It was wonderful. I want to thank our special guest today, William Morales, for being here. Please check out his podcast, People on Dating. It is fascinating. William started the podcast because he wanted his friends to talk about their dating experiences. Many of them were too shy. And so he
I
wound.
finally had one of my friends talked about love bombing, so that's going to be an up-and-coming episode. I think it's supposed to be released this Wednesday coming up. So
Okay.
we didn't do a live one like me and you're doing. So I had I just have a picture of her there, but she's
Yeah.
nice enough to talk about love bombing, and some of the stories she told me was fascinating. I was like, holy shit, I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, so fascinating. This is real stuff from real people. William also brings on some experts like me. So please check it out. I'm Lisa Shield. This has been Getting Inside the Right Male Mind, where we explore the male mind on women, love, dating, relationships. Men are just as afraid of rejection as we are. And so it's important that compassion flows both ways, that we have compassion for what they're going through just as much as we want them to have compassion for what we're going through. Please send us your ideas for future podcasts. You can do that by writing to me, podcast@lisashield.com. We read every one of your emails. Also, go and rate and like my podcast. If you don't like it, let us know. If you do like it, let us know that too. We really want honest feedback. I'd rather have 4 stars or 4.5 stars and get real feedback from you than have 5 stars where it's all just glowing reviews. Also, give us a thumbs up here or a heart if you liked this broadcast, and also give us a thumbs up on YouTube. And finally, go to lisashield.com and click the button on my website to watch my free 45-minute presentation. If you like what you hear, we will jump on a call with you to tell you how you can participate in my 12-week emotionally naked dating course and find what we call the guardian of your soul. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.